All right, dog. I'm going to probably be in the minority of your callers because let's cut to the chase here. Most callers to sports radio are old white guys that tend to be more conservative. But I applaud Manfred. I give him credit. It doesn't make up for putting the stupid runner on second base in extra innings, but you will not find a peep from me. Credit, credit, credit. Because we all know, anybody that voted for Biden knows what the point of this whole thing is. You had a president who could not deal with the fact that he lost an election. Georgia's demographics are changing.
Hold on, Rich. I don't care what you think about the legislation. I'm not interested in who you voted for. I don't care. Nobody cares.
Nobody don't care.
Nobody in America, Rich, is waiting on listening to this show, wondering what Rich in Orange County, what he thinks about Biden and the laws. Well, who cares?
I'm going there because that is why this is happening. That is why.
In your opinion, well, this is a Georgia legislature that is Republican, that the Democrats won the state and 2 runoffs. So I mean, the idea.
The Democrats won the state. Why did they?
With a Republican, Republican legislature oversaw it and said everything was done properly. Who killed Trump for arguing with him? So I mean, we can.
In 30 years. That's why they changed the law.
Rich, nobody cares. Rich,
Trump wanted to start a civil war over this thing.
Rich, nobody cares. Least of all me on what your political view. I could care less, and nobody cares. You think people care about you think about politics? Nobody cares. Nobody cares what I think. So nobody cares what you think. The point of the Manfred thing is simply because it's a business. He can't put the All-Star game in Atlanta because he can't have a walkout, he can't have a protest involving his players. That's all this is about for him. This is not about what's doing right and the law and all that nonsense, which is what you're going. This is about the fact he's got a business to run and a sport to run, and he's got to do what's best for his sport. And he can't have 20 players boycott the All-Star game because of laws which may or may not be biased. You think they're biased? I get 20. That's your opinion. That's your opinion. I get 20 other people think you're crazy. That's your opinion. This is about what Manfred is doing here. And Manfred has got to protect his game. He's got to have this All-Star game. It's a big moneymaker for the sport. And he's not going to sit there the year that Henry Aaron died and have 40 guys not playing the game because of laws that they don't even know anything about them because they're being pressured by the media and the Player Association not to go to the game. He can't take that chance. That's what this is about. This is not about what Rich in Orange County thinks is a racist law. Because I can get 30 people on who are smarter than you and me combined who would say, Chris, it's got nothing to do with that. So I don't know what the answer is. This is about the commissioner making a call, not because he's making a political call. He's making a business call.
I am calling him, praising him.
What else on your mind? But let me ask you this for a second. Okay. Let me ask you this.
Sure.
If this is such a bad law, then why do all the black players not go play against the Braves in Atlanta?
Okay. This is a symbolic
Why don't the
move.
Hawks move out of...
I'm trying to answer. It is symbolic. It is similar to what one of the callers brought up about North Carolina. I don't know if you remember with the bathroom bill. We have a different opinion on that bill, too, than your other caller. But this is what happened. Springsteen didn't show up in North Carolina. They canceled the All-Star game. And guess what? The Bears law was changed. The pressure worked. It changed the law. Maybe Georgia will change the law back and not pass something like this, and they can have an All-Star game next year. These things work. This is a pressure point. And that's the point of it, and hopefully it works.
Okay, but again, why don't we have the Hawks move out of Atlanta?
This is an intermediate step. This is a symbolic point. Why
did players who have a problem with the law not decide not to play in Atlanta this year?
Because because that would be too much. This is
no. That's about money.
They don't need an All-Star game. This is not. That's a special occasion.
Well, hold on now. If it's a significant issue and you screamed and yelled how horrendous the law is, then this is not symbolic.
Well, maybe it comes to that, but this is a first step to try to get it changed. This is a reasonable way to make the point that basically, because what we believe is that because somebody and their supporters can't deal with the fact they lost an election, they're trying to stop or make it harder for young people and minorities to vote. That's what we think, and that's why that's how black players think. I know that because I think the same way.
I have to go out there, and Rich, good call. I would want somebody on both sides, or where I can ask the questions, and then I can make my own determination. I am not going to listen. And I know some of the aspects of this law, about the water and the food. Everybody says, well, they're not going to allow you to wait in line and get fed and have water. When you go to a movie, does the movie come out and give you a piece of pizza when you're buying a movie? Or how about when you wait in line to go to a ball game? Do they go out there and feed you and give you drinks before the game starts? I mean, I've never heard of such a thing that when you're waiting in line to vote, you get fed and get water along the line. Voting, you should be able to go vote. Just vote. And if you have to wait in line for 30 minutes, so be it. Wait in line for 30 minutes. I mean, if you want to go to the movie, you go to the movie. I mean, but regardless, that's part of it. We can debate this all day, the law. And I'm sure I can get 30 people on one side to tell me there's nothing to it, good for Georgia. And then I can tell me 30 people on Rich's side who says it's the worst thing in the world. So that's why if you get into this political argument, you got major issues. That's why we're trying to center it on what his thinking is. Manfred doesn't. You think Manfred? He's certainly going to tell you he doesn't like the law because that's what Manfred's got to do. But Manfred's moving this game not because he wants to move the game. He's moving this game because he cannot afford to have this game screwed up under any circumstances. He can't afford to have it screwed up. Can't have it. Now the Masters is not moving. The Hawks aren't moving. None of these other things are going to move. The Falcons aren't going to move. I mean, the Braves aren't going anywhere. But, Manfred, this is an all-star game for the sport. He can't take that kind of chance. So keep that. Listen, you get into this politics scenario, get yourself in major trouble, as we all know. We have fight this. And remember, the last two all-star games generated $60 million, okay? More than $60 million for the local communities. $60 million in money down to Atlanta and the local community. So moving the game out of Atlanta is actually going to hurt the people economically that you're not playing the game in Atlanta for anyway. So in essence, you're really hurting the people symbolically by not playing a game there because you're taking $60 million out of the local economy. You kill it. In essence, you're doing exact what you shouldn't be. Don't you want to help the people in the local economy, especially in a major city like Atlanta? Well, you're hurting them by taking a game out. You can make that argument if you wish. You can make that argument. Now, again, the Charlotte situation, did they change the law in Charlotte? I know Springsteen didn't play there in Raleigh, and of course the All-Star game moved. Did the governor change? Did the legislation change? I'd have to go back and look. I don't pay too much attention to that. Here's Max in Memphis. He's on Mad Dog Unleashed. Max, good afternoon. How are you today, pal? What's going on? Max.
Doggy, I'm good, but you covered a lot of the ground, but I really think, that's the takeaway. Manfred owns this now, though. Manfred put his name lock, stock, and barrel on this. So tell me this, Doug. How does he let the Braves play? Is that a politically correct term? Is that a politically correct name? You're having a Chief Nakahoma with this ridiculous character of an Indian. You got a tomahawk chop. And now Manfred's Mr. Social Justice, which is fine. If that's your brand and that's your thing, that's all good.
Well, we discussed this with Manfred in the offseason where, they changed the name of the Indians, yet they're going to allow you, they're going to call them one more year, and they're going to sell, good call, Max, and they're going to sell, and they're going to sell jerseys, and they're going to sell jerseys, and going to sell jerseys in Cleveland in the Cleveland team store. Yet we'll change the name next year. So we're going to keep the name this year to make money, but next year we'll change the name. So there's hypocrisy all over the place. And you're right, there is some hypocrisy, of course, with the Braves. Go ahead. What else? We lost him. All right. There's hypocrisy all over the place. The world's, trying to run and trying to do sports in the world right now. If you're a commissioner or anything, It's very, very difficult. Here's Bill in Chevy Chase, Maryland, and he says hello. Bill, good afternoon. How are you today, pal? What do you have? Bill. Are you there, Bill? No, Bill. All right, we lost Bill, Max, and Richard, and Rich in Orange County. We'll see if we get some more calls up here. All right, Brendan in New York. He says hello, and he's on Mad Dog Unleashed. Brendan, good afternoon. How are you today, pal? What's going on?
I'm good, Doggy. How you doing today?
Fine, Brendan. Thank you. What's happening now?
I just don't understand why this has to be a huge point of contention amongst people. I think this is just such a cut and dry thing that whether you believe left or right is that if he moves the All-Star game, in 2 days this is out of the news cycle. But if he keeps it there, it's going to be in the news cycle for negative publicity for baseball for months and months until you have a protest on your hands.
It's going to be a major distraction for the sport. There's no question about it if he kept the game in Atlanta. So he gets the game out of Atlanta, and he get praised from the media, and he'll get praised by his players. And so he gets the game out of Atlanta, and he moves on to another city, and he forgets about it. And that is right now the sport needs that. That's a very, very, very important scenario here, and he needs to do that for his sport. Keep that in mind. And go ahead, continue, Brendan.
Yeah, so I actually think there would have been a better solution that I think would have actually probably solved everybody's issues here, is instead of moving it, because like you said, the economics in this is going to be terrible, he could have proposed something in terms of supporting black-owned businesses in Atlanta while keeping the All-Star game there. So, switching the vendors for the day to, food trucks that, owned by black business owners and stuff like that. That would promote economics in Atlanta, in comparison to just bankrupting those people that were going to be relying on those types of sales, especially after losing all that money during COVID.
Fair point. Yeah, I mean, I guess there's probably an alternative. That's a fair point. And I am sure, good call, and I am sure, Rich in Orange County screaming and yelling about the bill, I am sure that I can get 30 people on here who are a lot smarter than me and a lot smarter than Rich, who can tell us the other side of this bill and why this bill is a good bill, who are good American citizens. I guarantee, not that I think I can, I know I can. Now, I won't, because that's not my job. My job is to do sports. And I'm not going to sit there and break down some bill in Georgia, which I am not that sharp on. And I find it ironic that we're going to change the bill, that we're going to go crazy now when Georgia, the Republican legislature went nuts when Trump was moaning and groaning into him. Shut up, keep out of it. We're going to do it the way we want to do it. They were very anti-Trump during the election, and they voted Biden, and the two runoffs they went against the Republicans. So I'm a little surprised in January. So I mean. The Republican legislature did everything in their power to keep Trump at bay in November and keep the Republicans at bay. So, I mean, all of a sudden they've changed their way and they want to make sure that the state and Atlanta votes Republican in the future. I mean, geez. Again, we can go on and on. It's about Manfred right now, and it's about him doing for his sport economically.